Into This Week in Missouri Politics midweek edition. Turn the chat up here. Very glad to have you guys joining us on a spring break week. Spring break week for the Missouri Legislature. Week off this week in Missouri Politics. Had Congresswoman Wagner on. She had just been to the border, just Poland and Ukraine. Border, you think she went to Mexico. She'd been to the border, Poland. You can tell us all about what happened there. I mean, it is. She actually knows foreign policy, like a legit knows foreign policy. So it was an interesting show. Glad to have her on. Love having some of our the legislative folks come on and kind of fight out some of the issues. Let's talk about the big news of the week. Let's talk Senate maps. Look, I mean, here's the deal. If you live on a cul-de-sac and drive a Prius and you sip your Starbucks through your mask. I don't know how you drink with a mask. However suburban people do things. You consume food with your mask or through your mask or whatever. You thought this is a hell of a great map. If you were sitting on your tailgate on a gravel road drinking a Budweiser, you're not going to be real thrilled with this. I mean, this is going to make the state more suburban. And suburban folks usually are more right-wing type of Republicans. And I think that I've heard a lot of folks, this is the worst map they've ever seen a judicial commission put out. You always say that in the moment. I mean, I don't think anybody's saying this is good work for sure, but I don't know. That seems harsh to me. My gut would tell me that it's more, my gut tells me that you have more disappointment with the shift from the rural focus of that Republican caucus to more suburban. The map you will and gerrymandering, whatever. If you believe whatever party you're in, if you believe your party doesn't gerrymander, you should change. If you believe the other party doesn't gerrymander, probably should listen to some other show. This is only going to hurt your feelings because the people, they all gerrymander. They just do. Your people gerrymander, their people gerrymander, whatever. You get the maps do pick the folks a lot of times. The last time I wrote something correct, I always like to hold it up. The Judicial Commission drew a map. People praised it. It was thrown out. The Governor Lay Commission, which may have, I'm sure some rural interest will sue over this. If they don't, what are you there for? But this is there's going to be a winner and a loser in a map, right? So whether you're that cul-de-sac living person that wants more of those folks to represent the state, or you're a farmer, or you're a gun store owner on Porter Wagner Boulevard in West Plains, it's not, I don't believe in good or bad. I believe in this is going to favor this type of person, right? So we'll go through these issues one at a time. But first, I give a picture of this. I got this from the best Coca-Cola bottler in all Missouri. The folks that watch this will know. The folks talking about nice Stein Valley. And, of course, what is tomorrow? Tomorrow is St. Patty's Day. So I have for my Irish friends, God curse you being Irish, but we can all celebrate your day tomorrow. I better have 2 pulls of Gussie Busch Steiner beer. First I'll break it. You know what a 10 on 10 Stein is? Number 1, tall, so you can put the beer down in it. And obviously, Mom, this is water. It really is. It's got a lid. That's bonus points. It's got historic AB things. You have Gussie tapping a keg right there. You have Gussie at the Baronhof of one of the Clydesdales. You have the historic Rock, the Eagles. It's got a historic element of Anheuser-Busch. This right here is a 10 on 10 Stein. It's tall. It's got the lid. Historic. The greatest German-American of all time. Tied with Whitey Herzog. Gussie Busch. It's got a little bit of it's got a little bit of all of it. The handle's even crafted. It is if you want to know what is a 10 on 10 Stein, 10 on 10 Stein. This is not bad. It's for Irish, it's probably representative of what the Irish probably deserve. A smaller, no lid, not a lot of history, more leprechaunish. So these sort of work to fit the people they're trying to honor. 10 on 10, and that's a good try for Irish people. Back to the map. Look, so we get in here overall. I think the Republicans were never going to have as good a run as they had. Look, the last map, things changed in 10 years, right? So when they do the last map, Jefferson County was Democrat, had been for a long time. When except for that one alter years. The state changed, and Donald Trump really changed. Barack Obama changed the map with Obamacare. Then Trump really changed the map. And so what I think what you saw happen was a very different setting and a very different way that the state grew and changed. And the Republicans are very good at winning races, and the national Democrats quit competing here, and that all those factors led to the big majority of it. So they're going to flip one. Boone County has always had one extra county. It never quite had enough population on its own to be a district, so they went and they had to get another district to pitch in. So they would go get Randolph County, help elect Kurt Schaefer. Cooper County saved Caleb Rowden. What's grown to the point where you don't have that other county. So it goes from a 50-50 district to a 53-4% Democrat district. That's just the numbers. So that one's going to flip. However, you have this weird thing in Jackson County where independents, blue-collar voters are voting more Republican. Union guys are voting more and more Republican for Trump. More and more Republican, yes. Very Republican for Trump. Guys in the suburban, affluent, a lot of female, educated folks in Lee Summit voting more Democrat. Trump, yes, but not as much as you'd think. The numbers just don't indicate it was a 1-for-1. Every blue-collar union member that voted Republican, an educated woman in the suburbs voted Democrat. That didn't work that way. But there is a subtle trend there, and I think you're seeing, because that trend is much slower with the Republicans in Missouri switching to Democrats. Mike Sirpo is going to be fine in the 8th. The 11th is going to be probably the swing district of the state, like we said Jeffco was. And now Jeffco's not a swing district at all. Let's go through them here before we keep going. So I guess at the end of the day, I'm saying you're going to have 22 to 25 Republicans. I'm going to say probably 23 is where you end up with. If Democrats catch open seats in a good year, I do think you could see that differently. If they catch it in a bad year, you could if you catch Republicans catch it right, open seats to a good national year, you can see a few things change over. District 1, Senator Beck, he picked up more Webster Groves and lost some of that more Republican territory around Sunset Hills. He's in good shape for re-election. His successor will probably be favored too. Donald Trump being back on a ballot or being in the White House helps in South County. He knows that there's three people I know how to talk South County people. Donald Trump, Doug Beck, and Jim Murphy. Jim Murphy's house, I don't know is in that district, but I think part of his house district could be. So Jim Murphy's a guy, when Doug Beck's done, you might look at for that district. The West St. Charles counties in second. Doug Beck went from a toss-up to +7 Democrat, too. The Webster Groves is all Democrat and probably going to stay that way for a long time to come. I don't see any reason they don't. St. Charles had a lot of growth in population. So it was going to change a little bit, but the only thing that mattered here was they lost Wentzville and they put Nick Shore's actual house in the district, which will eliminate a campaign issue for him. I don't think anybody cared before. Don't think anybody cares now. The third, there was going to be a push to put more of rural Missouri into that district. So when you saw Festus and Crystal City go on the 22nd, you had some places you could stick Crawford in that more than makes up for Reynolds and Iron. So it's a little more rural district. You're looking at like a Mike Henderson type guy. Would be competitive there. The fourth changed a lot. It had to reflect the population loss. So the fourth kind of went from the fourth swung from being just a city thing to kind of swung around, and the fourth has like 3/4 of St. Louis, all the northern and then half the southern part of the city is all in there. The fifth changed a lot. It still has Forest Park area where Steve Roberts lives. It goes all the way out 44 now, so that's a difference in that one. The sixth, the district that hosts the Capitol. He gave up Osage and Marys, went down and got Camden. It's going to be served by the city of Jeff Bernstetter. He never had a problem. What's going to be interesting to me is you've got some folks in Camden County that are very vocal in their Republicanism. I wonder, Mike Bernstetter does not suffer folks. So just an observation, just a white trash hillbilly thought. If you're going to approach, Alexander, if you're going to approach Mike Bernstetter, you probably should do it very professionally and approach him like a man. Yelling at him on Facebook, I don't think you're going to and if someone runs against him, I think what you're going to learn is the Bernstetter family reunion is like half the county. you have the two big events in Cole County would be like the county fair and the Bernskater Family Reunion. So like you may know a lot of people on Facebook, right? I would take the Bernskater Family Reunion alone over Facebook in this whole district. You can't imagine when they used to print a phone book. Maybe they still, I don't know. Like the Bernskaters would be like 5 pages. If you think you're going to run somebody who's Mike Bernskater, if he just carries his kinfolk, you're going to get beat. It's going to be bad. So it's just an interesting thing about when Mike Bernskater runs for office. Flipping through here, looking over into the Seventh, it changed a little bit. There's a really growing area of condos and stuff right on the riverfront in the Seventh, north of Power and Light in Kansas City, north of downtown. Greg Razor has that now, but his district's pretty much the same. If it's the Plaza, Power and Light, all that, that's Razor's district. But there is kind of a cool area. I mean, it's a growing area right on it's on the southern bank of the Missouri River in Kansas City, on the northern edge of his district. It's kind of coming back to life with a lot of development, and that's not his. The 8th, it's really what I talked about. I mean, the 8th is becoming more Democrat. You got those educated, some female voters are becoming Democrat, and you got some, but it's at a slow pace in Missouri. It is not at a fast pace. So it's kind of a slow matriculation, right? So what I would say is keep an eye out for that district. Mike Serport will be fine. I know he's got a primary. I mean, look, there's only one place a primary could get money for this, in all honesty. And the truth of the matter is, there was some folks that tried this with Senator Eigel. They were pretty widely condemned. It led to a lot of consternation and issues in the state. Part of the state Senate's issues stem from that and the fallout from that money. And then there's a confirmation from some folks that were alleged to be part of that. And it just, I do not believe Bill Eigel would go fund an opponent. It would be something that wouldn't live down. I don't think he is. I haven't had it. It's one of those I haven't even asked him. I just don't think it would happen. So that you can run, but fine. Taking out an incumbent senator in a primary. I can't remember last time. I don't even remember last time it's happened. I can't remember. Robin Wright Jones and Jamila Sheed. But that was like Robin Wright Jones was under like investigation 4 ways to Sunday. So the 9th Freedom Inc. district, Senator Washington got pretty much the same district. It goes a little bit more, grabs a little bit more in the Raytown area, but other than that, she'll be reelected easily in hers. The 10th, this is a weird. This is you kind of thought maybe when St. Charles now it's too big for 2 districts might come up and get some Lincoln. That used to be the part of Scott Root's district was like Lincoln County and the rest of St. Charles that wasn't in Dempsey's district. But this was, I don't know that the judges did a favor for the governor here, but really you've got a big league primary. I don't know if Representative Pison wants to run or not. I think he's kind of said he wanted to see what the district looks like. If that's the case, this would be a kind of an engraved invitation from the judges to please run. I don't really understand that, but, maps matter. I think Travis Fitzwater will have a lot of money behind him. Travis Fitzwater is a very reasonable guy, very intelligent guy. I would say he will fare very well. He's got a voting record that's up and down, pro-life, pro-gun, fits the district well. So we'll see. I mean, Lincoln County's really grown. You saw it picked up Pike, which would be a help, you would think, to Representative Pike's or the Lincoln County candidate, whoever that might be. But it gave up Audrain and Monroe and Warren to pick that part up. So there you go. The 11th, it's like I said, it went from 10 years ago. Jeffco was the battleground district. It was going to be Aurora Wheeling, big pitched battle. When Senator McKinnon was done. Excuse me. This time now you have independents. Northeastern Jackson County is kind of the most swing district. Frankly, this would have went with Trump if it wasn't for Senator Rizzo's talent. Probably the most talented politician in the state right now would be Senator Rizzo. That district should have already flipped, but it didn't because of him. So, you're going to have to see some national tides change. If the Republican Party moves away from Trump to a more traditional Republican to try to, pick up votes nationally, I think it'll be reflected negatively in independents, and that's probably the Democrats. Those are natural Democrats. See if they go home. Senate the 12th, the Great Northwest. They handled their business a unique way up there. Those boys know how to do it. And this time, the 12 gave up the Clay County portion, and Suburban Gower, who as I understand, Suburban Gower produces fine governmental relations consultants. And they moved to the east and picked up Livingston, where Rusty Black. I think this is something been in the works for a long time. He probably is headed across the rotunda. Now look, Representative Eccleston's a serious guy who's put together some money, who could run a good race. It's just that the kind of the establishment, for lack of a better term, has picked that senator since I was in junior high school. Something tells me they will again this time, and they're going to be behind Rusty Black. So he has to be considered the favorite just off common sense. The 13th was pretty much the same. He said it had to add a little bit. It went down to Jennings and Hazelwood. The 14th, Senator Williams lost a little bit Clayton. I believe he lost the strategic retail establishment of Kruger's is no longer in Senator Williams' district. But he pretty much has the same district, except he did lose a little bit of that. You never know really when you can walk down the street and you don't know if you're in Clayton, University City, Richmond Heights. I know if I'm in Dexter from Fisk because there's like 15 miles and there's the Puxco turnoff and Dudley. You can drive in St. Louis 3 blocks and be in 3 towns. But I think some of that Clayton area is no longer there. The 15th, Senator Caney's district now to be the only reliably Republican one in St. Louis County. Because of the city's population loss, everybody had to push westward a little bit. He pushed westward all the way. He didn't have Wildwood, a lot of those places. He got everything in the Chesterfield kind of drop down 141 area. He's got all that except for, I think, Eureka Pacific, which went in the 26th. The 16th, boy, my God. I don't know what in the world the judges had against Senator Brown. Good night. I hate to be Mr. Clarence trying to ask for something for the judges this year from him. You basically, they took Crawford away, which is a perfectly tied-in community with Rolla. I don't think he would have appreciated that. And then you go pick him up a primary opponent in Representative Susie Pollack from Laclede County. So he had a guy that had not ran much, but you had a crew of Camden County folks that are fired up, Lake folks. He traded for Laclede, which you have, former Representative Darrell Pollack, now commissioner, his wife, sitting legislator. I'll tell you. Then they went down and got Wright County. That is just I'm sure it made sense somewhere to skip Texas and go get Wright. But boy, they may have a brother-in-law that wants to run for that or something. That is a puzzling district that they drew. I'd be interested to understand why you would do it that way. What crayons you pull out of the box to draw that with. Senator Arthur, her district is obviously a growing part of the north. They call it the Northland. She's got the Clay County part, the Platte County parts. St. Luke's and Meyer, it just shrank a little bit. Kind of got a little smaller there in Clay County. The 18th, the Northeast Missouri seat, it gave up Lynn and Sheridan, and it picked up Monroe and Audrain. So Senator O'Laughlin now gets to be the senator of Missouri legend Kit Bond from Mexico, Missouri. I should have pulled I got one of these big Kit Bond buttons. It's awesome. Wore it to Lincoln a couple years ago. The 19th is the likely pickup. It's just Boone County now. I got it as a Republican or a Democrat +8. I think it probably is about what it is. So we'll see. But you really see Stephen Weber, the gentleman, the former legislator, veteran. He lost to Caleb Brown in a very close race 6 years ago. 2 years from now, I assume they're going to figure this out between Stephen Weber and Columbia Mayor Brian Trees. Both very popular. Columbia will do very well if he sends either one of those two to Jeff City. But it will be a pickup for the Democrats. They're just going to have to worry about, is it a trade-off? Remember that they had Senator Lamping at the 24th, and Senator McKenna had the 22nd in Jeffco. Essentially, both parties flipped, and they both funded the races, but the 24th was going to be the Democrat pickup, and the 22nd was the Republican pickup, and it was a wash. You could absolutely see a scenario by where the Republicans pick up the 11th and lose the 19th. The 20th, the old 20th was the rest of Green outside of Springfield and Christian. They both just grown too much to be in one district. So they took the 20th and they put in Webster, Barton, and Dade. Barton and Dade, smaller counties. Webster, a larger county. They'll be. This is essentially a Greene County fight. It's pretty much the same group. They added some to the 30th because it needed a few thousand people. They went out a little bit out 44 to the west, and they went down a little. But when they went down, they didn't hit Brian Gellner's district. So Brian Gellner's house. So he's still in the 20th and running. This will be decided by who. If you can win Greene County by 5 points, you probably win the race. And you'll have, I think what you're going to see here is Gellner's proving he's a hell of a fundraiser. Curtis Finn has a lot of the grassroots folks on the ground working for him. Can Gellner get some grassroots folks, and can Representative Trent compete on money? It's going to be easier for Curtis Finn to compete on money than it is grassroots folks. But it's a real fight. It'll be, and I don't know that redistricting really changed it much. I think you're going to have to go into Christian County possibly before. Now you got to go into Webster County and pay a little bit of attention to Barton and Dade. It'll be organization, and I would say that organization probably would help with Representative Trent as well on that. So it's going to be a close race. It'll be one to watch. It'll be one you won't probably be able to predict much until pretty close to Election Day. The 23rd, this is where you just sort of go, where were the rule guys? I mean, this was just like a, wow. Again, if you like your Starbucks and your masks, if you like to be locked down in your house, in some suburb, on some cul-de-sac with some homeowners association, then you're going to like the 21st, because you take they took the 21st, they took out Johnson County, which is just, if there was one thing the judges could have done to probably make this a good map, it would have been not to put Johnson and Cass together. But they decided to do the one thing that would screw up rural Missouri pretty hard. And, maybe on these appellate judges, rural folks need to step up and say, no, whoa. City folks are fine. But there's more to the state than the Plaza and Central West End. So they took Johnson County out of this. They replaced it with a bunch of suburban Clay County voters. So the old Denny Hoskins district now doesn't have Johnson, but it has suburban Clay County. Again, it's not bad. It's not a bad map, right? It's just, if you think there should be more suburban senators, then you might not like this map. If you think there should be more rural, or you might love this map. There should be more rural senators, you probably don't. It's a pretty simple analysis. And the next time that there's an appellate judgeship, some folks should say, the difference between pesticide and herbicide? Because we probably need a few more folks on the difference between pesticide and herbicide. Because if you're on appellate court, then you can be put on these commissions, and then you can draw maps that maybe don't rip districts into the suburbs. 22nd, Jeff County's the same. It did add the Crystal Tavern, right, Gussie? It did add the Crystal Tavern, infested in Crystal City. Took out some of that other rural, kind of central western part of the district. That's Ken Waller territory. That Crystal City area is Ken Waller territory. I've always told you Visco probably runs. I mean, the angry people don't leave on their own. They just don't. So it'll be when he runs, obviously the person with a lot of money will make a splash. Then you can kind of reshape the race after that. The new 23rd is the old 23rd. It just creeps up a little bit in the Northeast. Phil Crispinelli is still on track to be the new senator there. I don't really think that'll be much of a competitive race. And also, I think he'll be surprised at what a top shelf senator Phil Crispinelli is when he arrives. The 24th changed a lot. When you first look at it, you're like, whoa, what'd they do? Well, Tracy McCreary's house was run out of it. I think she could just move over, and I think she is. So that's a problem for her husband to have to deal with. But I think it's obviously a solvable one. But instead of running kind of Maryland Heights, Chesterfield to Chesterfield, it runs all the way down to the Jeffco line. It takes in Fenton and a lot of that area. Tracy McCreary is a terrific candidate. This district actually becomes more Democrat the way it's drawn now than from the way it was. Only Missouri Democrats could screw this up. I could see a scenario, you go get a primary opponent and a general opponent, you run out of money. You'd have to have like 7 or 8 things that are unpredictable go wrong, but these are Missouri Democrats. So take all those in stride. The 25th, the number one district in the state, Southeast Missouri. It didn't change much. It swapped. Jason Bean lost Kayla Hahn's home place in Shannon County, but it picked up a more contiguous Wayne Ripley, Oregon. You kind of swapped hillbillies for hillbillies, so you can't lose swapping hillbillies for hillbillies. If the judges could have drawn this, I'm sure they put the Arch in this district, but they weren't able to get that far, so they just gave more hillbillies. The 26th is the anomaly here. It really made the district more rural. This is one where it actually was more rural. I think it's a rarefied air. They swapped out some of those St. Louis suburbs, Wildwood, some of that Chesterfield area, maybe Ellisville, I'm not sure. Again, in St. Louis, it's all the only people that think there's a place called Wildwood are people who live in Wildwood. If you live from about Herculaneum to Wentzville, you live in St. Louis. You just do. Now you think there's a place called Afton, and that's awesome, and I'm happy for you people. But you live in St. Louis for the rest of the world. Like to everyone else, the other 6 billion people in the world, you live in St. Louis. So they cut out some of those suburb areas. We're going to call those St. Louis suburbs because that's really what it's called. And they took in Warren Osage and the German enclave of Gasconade County. Boy, Gasconade County is a peach. If you get to represent that, you're living right. It means you get to go to Herman for business, not just fun. Just if you get to represent Herman life, you're living good. I think Ben Brown, probably there's a little bit of thought that more rural folks, they still keep like Eureka and Pacific in this current district. But my gut tells me if you're Ben Brown and you got a 3-way, you're all right. If you get money, you're gonna have to get some money from 100 Pack and folks. My man here from Glencoe, he says there is no Wildwood. There's really just a St. Louis, but I respect where you say you're from. So I think that a 3-way, if he raises money, he's got an edge. Nate Tate's a good candidate. I mean, Nate Tate has a good pedigree. Everybody I say, so that tells me the other gentleman has a ton of friends and momentum and can raise money and say, if you're Greg Holbrook's friend, I respect that. So we'll see what actually comes through from that. Then the 27th, Senator Holly Rader, speaking her mind, huh? How you like that? You don't have to wonder what's on her mind anymore. She's traded it out for she traded some good hill country from Wayne County for the home of the Battle of Pilot Knob and Reynolds County, Iron Reynolds County. I'll tell you again, I told you what, you get on 6-7, take a turn west at Fredericktown. That 72 is one of those beautiful drives from Fredericktown over through Ironton. Beautiful play, one of the prettiest drives in the state. You already gonna make it. Senator Rader now gets to make it for business. The 28th is Senator Crawford. It's kind of like that. They took LaCoupe County out. They stuck it on Senator Brown. They gave her Vernon and then Shannon Cooper's home of Henry County. As he would call Henry County common sense. And then the 29th, Senator Boone. This is following from the 20th growing. I was really curious to see what they would do. So Senator Boone's very popular in the Branson area. A lot of like-minded folks like Senator Boone in the Branson area. They moved over to Christian County. If I was just down, look, your old hillbilly pal makes a lot of rounds around the state. If I had to guess, there's a few, Mike Moon probably plays better in Taney County in the Branson area than he does in Christian County. But Mike Moon gets votes. Just write that down. He does. So this looks like setting up a possible primary, but I don't, Mike Moon's pretty anti-tort reform. So I'm not sure it was skullduggery. I think it's probably just how the cards fell. Probably not the district he would have drawn himself, but again, beat a sitting senator primary. I'm sure Mike Moon will have a primary. I mean, I think the events of the first 2 years have probably that probably will happen, but he'll win it. We'll see. Sign of knowledge. The Senator House district didn't change much. This is one that's been trending Democrat for a long time. Senator Huff will win it easily, but this is one where candidates will matter. And when he's done, they'll need a very good candidate. If Crystal Quaid chooses to run, she would be a highly tapped person. And if you look forward to 4 years from this election, in 2 years you're going to have the 11th and 19th. And then 4 years from now, you should see competitive race in the 8th, 15th, and the 30th, with the best chance for Democrats probably if Crystal Quaid runs on the 30th. And the 31st, boy, again, this is the decision that really just was the head scratcher. The 31st was Senator Brad said it used to go down and over. And I got buddies that are telling me, no, there's no suburbs in Cass County. Well, okay. I don't know about that. But the Cass County district, they put in Johnson County. Again, I'm sure there's a reason. I'm sure it's logical. But boy, you talk about sticking the old knife in your traditional Republican senators. Boy, they twisted that, dude. I'm telling you. I know folks think about Camden County, but wait till you get old to Cleveland County. But no, seriously, it's I think the knife got just twisted hard on your Jason Beans, on your Carl Esslingers, on your it'll be Rusty Black. I don't know who they were talking to, but whoever they were talking to, boy, either were look, you get what you want, and what they wanted was this. So this is what they got. This is what they got. They have another suburban district. We'll see how that ends up and goes. But yeah, again, you could say that's good or bad, but it is what it is. The Joplin district grows, and now they finally, this has been trending this way for about 30 years, but they don't need any more. They don't need any more counties to complete it. And the 32nd now is just Joplin and Carthage, right? A little bit, just those two, Jaspers and Newton. Senator Essex district changed a lot. They took Porter Wagner. The center of this used to be Porter Wagner Boulevard. Now the center of the district is moved over. Now, I don't know if this is going to be a Howell County district or a Branson district, but it's got Stone, Taney. They took out, I'm sure she didn't mind seeing Wright go, but Webster, she was really strong in Mike Cunningham territory. Lost that, kept Texas. It just is hard to get your head around why they would throw Wright in Texas and not make the district more contiguous for Rolla. I guess if you were trying to make a Laclede County district, if that's what you're trying to do, that would make sense. But I mean, if you had a Rolla-based district, for hell, Mike Library, I like Library Penalty or somewhere. There was a Rolla district going back as far as I can remember. Those are trying to make a Lebanon district. I assume is what that's about, but it affected hers. Now I don't know if this is a Howell County district or if this is a Branson district, but it is. There'll be a fight between the two of them. I bet Wendell Bailey didn't probably like this draft. The 34th has grown to the point where they cut Buchanan in half. Now this is probably because you couldn't put Buchanan and Platte together fully, right? So you was either going to have to cut out some of Platte, right, or some of Buchanan, or run it over. But if you're going to have Rusty Black district, you couldn't really put all of Buchanan together, and that would have changed that dynamic quite a bit. So you're either going to cut the suburbs of Platte, or you're going to cut rural Buchanan County. So you could have rural Buchanan County and put it into the 12th. So when you did that, you could have done that a bunch of different ways, but now, you have the city of St. Joseph and some suburbs in Platte County. And now it's just a totally suburban district. Nobody wants their county split. You can ask the folks in St. Charles about that. The old ancestors of the Pony Express, they got their ox board pretty hard there. You could have done that different ways. You had some masters to serve when you're trying to make sure that district is a Chillicothe Senate district. You had to keep Buchanan with Platte, but you could have also then cut some of Platte out, right? And try to stick those suburban folks somewhere else. I think Buchanan County got stung because you're trying to draw the 12th that included Livingston County, and it's hard to, anyway, again, maps, I don't think maps are good or bad overall. They just are what they are, and your interest maybe get served or they don't. And to serve one interest they wanted to serve, this is an interest where it come down to Platte County gets cut and stuck into somewhere else, or part of Buchanan, and Buchanan County folks lost. High stakes poker game, and somebody's going to win, somebody's going to lose. So anyhow, that's my take on what you saw. I'm sure other people have. I have no doubt that I am wrong, and other people have much better things. Let me go to the questions here. Susan Myers, my question topic. Any chance House Bill 1462, it's concealed carry weapons on public transit? Susan, I'm going to assume she serves as state director. Okay. I was wondering, you probably do not think guns should be on subways. I don't think hillbillies should be on subways. I'll go with you there, one right there. I don't know that hillbillies have a place on subways. I never felt comfortable on subway. I like to have my own truck. I just don't. It doesn't ever occur to me to take a subway somewhere. Oh, I got a buddy. It's not a subway. It's they don't call it a subway. I call it something else in St. Louis. I don't know. It's a subway. Like, right? It's just what it is. You get in a little tube with train and you're running places. No, I don't think this legislature will do anything that inhibits the Second Amendment anywhere. And look, this is the truth. I understand. There's a lot of common sense things about gun laws that I very much understand. It's like on abortion. I see a lot of both sides' points and can understand where you're coming from. But this legislature ran on, we swear to God, we will never do anything except give out more guns to more people. So, it would be almost like if you had a person you supported, Tracy McCreary, is going to run as a gun control candidate, right? She's going to say there should be fewer guns in places. Now, I don't think she's a radical, but she would this kind of legislation she'd support, right? Maybe she's sponsored, I don't even know. But she'd be the type of person that it would be like her voting with the NRA on something. So it's just, you got to understand, these people run, they make campaign promises, so I don't believe it goes anywhere. But look, I'll tell you this. I heard from a buddy of mine that was running for state rep, like maybe 4 years ago. Oh, there's a big gun control group. I'm like, there is not. He said, no. There's a group. And he told me the group's name, and I'd heard a little bit. And it was this Mom's Demand group. He said, I went out to St. Charles. There's like 400 people at a rally. I'm like, you're bullshit. And I'll be dead gum. He sent me a picture, and it was just chock full of folks. So before my whole professional career, up until 4 or 5 years ago, there was no gun control lobby in the whole state. Now, there is a gun control lobby. Now, do they have any traction really to move or block things? Not really. But you went from zero to a functioning gun control lobby, and where you go next is, you can't get to viability without the start. And there is definitely a gun control lobby. They definitely show up. And is it a real force in the cabinet? No. But you can't get to a real force without going through the growing pains of all these things. At one time, Missouri Right to Life wasn't much either. Now it runs the whole damn thing. So, I guess I don't see where I don't see where you get anything pulled back. I do think, I think probably nobody takes them off. Do they allow the people to ban the guns on subways? This year it's going to be hard to pass. That's like a next year. That's it. Susan telling me they formed the counter Mom's Demand. In my view, you don't get that this year, but you will at some point. I'll give you one more. If you're actually pro-gun, now seriously, I tried to reach out to Aaron Dorr about this. Because, that guy, he got something passed last year that you wouldn't have really thought could happen. If you go to the Air's Pizza, right? Wyatt Earp can come in with his 6-shooters, correct? And that's fine. Good. That's the policy that the elected representatives of the state voted for. So you can question whether you should carry your 6-shooters around in Air's Pizza, right? But you can't. Fair enough. Good for them. Good for 6-shooters. Good for Yosemite Sam. Good for everyone. But you can't at the Capitol, right? Where the people that are the most pro-gun in the whole state are. But Air's Pizza, you have to let people do that. So my question would be, if you're not full of shit, why is a gun law good for Air's Pizza that's not good for the state capitol? Why is a gun law good for Christina's workplace at Air's Pizza, but not good for your workplace at the state capitol? Seriously. It takes an hour right now to get in your capitol. There was a gentleman in a wheelchair. I tell you what, if you're really pro-gun, come and open the door and make everyone your guest and let them come into the capitol they pay for with their money. I don't get it. I just don't understand why, if you're at the Capitol that you pay for, and the guns are supposed to be everywhere, the best way to stop a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun, right? Fair enough. Why are you keeping good guys with guns out of the Capitol? It almost looks like laws for thee, but not for me. If it's such a good law that it applies at Christina's workplace at Air's Pizza, why doesn't it apply at the state capitol? Why at your workplace? You get to make the laws. I would think if you believe that the best way to stop a bad guy is to have a gun, why don't you have more good guys with guns in the Capitol? Why do you go through metal detectors? I seriously. I mean, I don't. The latest gun laws are about kind of like stand your ground stuff. And I'm not an expert on the laws on gun stuff at all. I have no reason to be. But I will tell you this about common sense and are you full of shit or he's trying to get likes on Facebook? Are you serious? I just explained. I've never had anybody explain to me except why don't you have the same laws apply everywhere? If it's such a good damn idea, why doesn't it apply in the Capitol? So there you go. Anyway, we're going to wrap up here. We're going to wrap up here. Appreciate all of you watching. We will be at a St. Patty's somewhere tomorrow. Hat tip to my Irish pals. We will not be on Sunday for this weekend, Mr. Paz. We'll be back next week with our debut show in Warrensburg. We'll see you then.